get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the purpose. Huh?
Drama.
Did he assault the queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports, and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for making time here on KBC Channel 1 to watch the lunchtime news. We shall be keeping you updated on what's happening here in the country as well as around the world. My name is Betty Kiptum and Anwangeshe is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Now we take you straight to Mombasa, where the Interior Chief Administrative Secretary Winugushu is addressing the press. There is a treatment plan that is being launched at the Shimo Latewa to ensure that refuse from that particular prison will be treated before being released into water bodies around the area. Let's listen into that. We shall be giving you an update on that. We apologize for that technical hitch. Now we move on to other news. Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has eulogized the late nominated Senator Victor Prengei's efforts in building bridges initiative, referring to him as an amiable and distinguished lawmaker who championed the rights of minority groups. Lusaka was speaking at the Lee Funeral Home after viewing Prengei's body. He died on Monday night in a road accident on the Nakuru Kabarak Road. Senator Prengei sustained serious injuries and was rushed to Moi Memorial Hospital for treatment, where he succumbed to the injuries. The Speaker was flanked by other senators who pledged to issue a statement on burial arrangements later. Prengei was nominated to the Senate in 2017 on a Jubilee Party ticket and was the first legislator from the minority Ogiek community. Several leaders, including President Uhuru Kenyatta, have eulogized the late senator as an astute leader.
On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I want to convey our sincere message of condolence to the family, friends and relatives for this big loss. Prengei has been with us in the Senate. He's been a very calm fellow, a senator who was very, very passionate about land matters. Remember, he comes from a minority, and anytime he stood to talk or pursue anything, it had to do with land matters, and no wonder he was the vice chair of the Committee of Lands and Environment. I remember him so well, especially during the BBI discussions. He's the one we called upon after everybody had contributed. He's the one we called upon to conclude or end the debate on the BBI. So we shall all miss him. It's been unfortunate. We continue praying for the family. You know, we've lost, this is the fourth senator that we have lost during this session. Really, that's a high number. We just pray that God will continue protecting those of us who have remained so that we discharge our mandate and serve this country.
May Senator Prengei's soul rest in peace. Now we take you back to Mombasa, where the Interior Chief Administrative Secretary Winugushu is just addressing the press there after the launch of a treatment plan at the Shimo Latewa prison. Let's listen into that.
And this just came out from this visit. One of the officers said that we need a policy defining what overcongestion is. This prison, the population is supposed to be 1,000. We have 1,500. So, of course, it tells you automatically that we have overcrowding here. And during this era of COVID, we really need to work in collaboration with the judiciary to see how do we decongest. Because if you go to a particular ward, you'll find the way that ward was designed to hold particular prisoners is holding much more. So we need to work with the judiciary and collaborate and agree that, there are some people who really don't need to come to the prison. They can be given something else to do because their crime is really not a security threat. So we really need to define what are those crimes so that we are able to decongest. Yes, our prisons, we need to build a little bit more, but the building will not come up as fast as the prisoners are coming. So we really need a program, and I think there are discussions already going on between ourselves, the justice chain, on how to decongest. So we really need to really encourage non-custodial sentences and alternative sentencing so that we are able to decongest the prisons. So we are very careful about how the prisoners are accommodated because with COVID and the way it keeps coming in all forms, shapes and sizes, we need to really keep monitoring how our prisons are so that we do not get a disaster inside the prison. So that's the other reason why we are going around the prisons to just monitor how are we managing the population inside the prisons. So those are the three main things that have brought us to the prison.
Okay, with the first project.
Interior Chief Administrative Secretary Winnie Gushu there addressing the press after the launch of a treatment plant at the Shimo Latewa prison. That particular treatment plant is to ensure that refuse from that prison, which she says is just too overcrowded, rather needs to be decongested. The refuse will be treated before being released into the water bodies in the area. Now moving on to other news, Mandelier ya Wanawake organization has pledged to complete and implement all projects initiated by former Kwale County Women Representative, the late Zainab Chizuga, who died last week. The national chairperson of the organization, Rehab Muyu, lauded the late Chizuga, describing her as a selfless and visionary leader who left a mark in changing the lives of women in Kwale and the entire coastal region.
The women leadership of Mandelier ya Wanawake organization gathering at their headquarters in Nairobi Wednesday morning to honor the late former long-serving official of the chapter, Zainab Chizuga.
She also initiated the Kwale County Women in Development Organization that offers microfinance to women to undertake various projects to uplift their livelihoods. Kenyan politics and Kwale.
The organization's chairperson, Rehab Muyu, says the late Kwale women representative was a selfless and visionary leader who stood firm for the girl child and women welfare of minors in Kwale, even helping in having the Kenyan laws translated into Swahili.
And I think bring the Swahili constitution, we are happy to say in her lifetime, she left Mandelier, the institution she so much loved, with a Swahili constitution. And we also pay great tribute to CS Amina, who graciously was here when we passed the documents in 2019, and indeed also to our minister, Professor.
To keep her vision alive, the organization says it will take over the completion and implementation of projects she had started for the benefit of Kwale women.
And we are targeting, our membership is about 4 million, and therefore we thank God that she has really engaged us in the water tank. She had her views on a few things we needed to rectify, and we shall work on that. And so yes, among the other things, we are in Kwale on the water tanks with her team. And we do have our county chair, Musau, who has worked very closely with her, almost as a PA. And so there is no gap. Kazi itaendelea. It's just the physical loss and accepting the pain of death.
The late former Kwale County women representative was buried in her Matuga home last week.
Hundreds of school-going children in Ganze constituency, Kilifi County, are not attending classes due to hunger attributed to severe drought that has hit the area. Residents and leaders claim that at least 200,000 people are facing starvation and called on the government to intervene.
Karimani in Bamba Ward
Only 100 out of 250 pupils are in school, while the rest have kept away from class due to harsh climatic conditions.
Mwanafunzi anakuja shuleni akiwa jana hakula. Ikifika kama saa 2 tayari, saa 4, saa 3, saa 4 anasinzia. Hivyo basi mwanafunzi huyu hata kesho utampata na anakaa nyumbani kama wiki 2, ikifuatilia hivi na kuja siku moja kisha anarudi. Sasa hii nimekosa wanafunzi zaidi ya 150 wako nyumbani kwa sababu ya njaa na kiangazi ya maji.
Elephants are also said to have moved out of Savo East National Park and invaded human settlements where they are scrambling for water in catchment areas. Area Member of Parliament Teddy Mwabwire is now urging the government to reintroduce the school feeding as well as the livestock uptake program to cushion locals from the severe drought and help retain learners in schools.
Ukitembea shule kama hii utakuta kwamba hata jiko limeanguka kwa sababu hakuna thamani yoyote ya kwamba wawe na jiko na hakuna chakula. Hii ndio imefanya wanafunzi wakifika jiko limeanguka wanasema kwamba hapa hapata pikwa leo, afadhali tubaki nyumbani tuweze kutafuta risk. Kwa hivyo kuna umuhimu hata kama wazazi watapatiwa pesa ya kununua chakula na kuwe na chakula ambao kitaelekezwa mashuleni ili watoto waweze kupata chakula.
A similar situation is being witnessed in Nasiger village in Turkana County where there is water shortage due to dry conditions caused by drought.
Pia kuna wanyama mfugo tunategemea hii maji. So imefika saa hizi wakati ya kiangazi hatuna mahali pa kupata maji.
Ndio tunasema atusaidie kwa maji. Maji inatuumiza, jua inatuumiza, mbuzi yetu hakuna vile inakunya. Tunataka tusaidiwe na kwa ajili ya maji, atuletewe.
Residents fear that the condition will worsen if it does not rain soon and are calling for quick intervention. To a rather sad story, now police in Kitengela are investigating an incident in which a mother killed her 2-year-old daughter and then committed suicide. The 31-year-old Wairimu Masharia is said to have left behind a suicide note accusing her husband of infidelity.
Residents of Kitengela's Fahari apartments are yet to come to terms with the death of a mother and her child through suicide.
Kuna mama na mtoto wake wamekufa kwa nyumba.
According to the apartment caretaker, Geoffrey Wambua, the 31-year-old woman, Jane Wairimo Masharia, murdered her 2-year-old daughter, Paisley Kaluki Mutothia, before hanging herself in the bathroom.
Nilishtukia serikali imeingia kwa hizi plot. Kuelezea ni nini hakuna mtu alikuwa anajua. Ndio mwishowe baadaye tuliona miwili imetolewa kwa nyumba A31.
Isinya Sub-County Police Commander Charles Chepkonga, who confirmed the incident, said the mother had left a suicide note.
Wakati tulipofika tukaambiwa ya kwamba wakaenda kazini. Na mama naye akapea msichana wa kazi ruhusa kutembea ama off. So wakati mwendo wa saa 9 jioni msichana aliporudi nyumbani akakuta milango imefungwa na akapigia mzee akiwa kazini ya kwamba mama alikuwa amepewa ruhusa na amerudi amekuta milango imefungwa. Mzee naye akakuja kutoka kwa kazini kwa sababu alikuwa na vifungo vingine, akafungua milango. Ndani akakuta mtoto ako kwa kitanda amekufa. Kwa bathroom mama akakuta amejihang kwa bathroom. Na pia tukapata katika uchunguzi ambao tulianza tukaona kwamba kulikuwa na suicide note. Mama akilaumu bwana kwa bango wa kando.
He further said it has not yet been established how the mother killed her daughter since the child had no visible physical injuries.
So mpaka hapo tunaendelea na uchunguzi kujua kiini cha hayo mauaji.
Police have begun investigation into the incident. For Lunchtime News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
Quite an unfortunate turn of events there. Now, businessman turned politician Jimmy Wanjigi is calling on Kenyans to rally behind his 2022 presidential bid, saying it is time for the third generation liberators to take over the mantle of the country's leadership. Wanjigi took a swipe at the One Kenya Alliance leaders, saying they have been in power for more than 3 decades, but their development record is wanting.
Speaking in Nairobi after meeting aspirants in the 2022 general election, businessman turned politician Jimmy Wanjigi said his quest for presidency is unstoppable, adding he will be hitting the road to rally Kenyans to support his bid for the top office on an ODM ticket. Those who attended the meeting calling on the ODM leaders to allow Wanjigi space.
We are now reached a stage where we must have independent two-party democracy, because that is how you entrench democracy in a two-party state. We must show democracy in ODM. Yes. Sisi ndio ODM. Hatutaoneshwa na mtu mwingine. Sisi ndio ODM. We are going to show internal democracy in ODM, and we are going to show it in Kasarani.
Wanjigi hitting at the new political realignments being formed, saying the leaders have been in power for more than 30 years and have had no impact.
Wakati wao umeisha, wao ni heroes, ni washujaa wa second liberation. Hii ni ingine, na hii ingine hatuwezi kwenda mbele na watu ambao wamekaa huko miaka 30.
This as KANU Mombasa branch members applauded the move taken by the party to join the One Kenya Alliance, saying it will chart the way forward ahead of the forthcoming general election.
Katika hawa mmoja wao Mungu atamchagua, na yule sisi kama watu wa Mombasa na Kenya nzima KANU tutaunga mkono.
Iko na safari ndefu na iko na future, na nyumba yoyote ambayo iko na future lazima ijipange. Kwa hivyo safari hii ambayo imetuweka hapa ni kwa ajili ya kujipanga.
KANU National Women Congress Vice Chairperson Monira Faraj urged the electorate to give the four principles the benefit of doubt.
Kitakachotokea tunajua ni chema kwetu sisi, na vipi tutakavyotimiza lengo letu. Na lengo letu la KANU pia tumekutana leo ni vile tukaribishe wengine wanaojiunga na chama chetu. Katika KANU sisi hatuchagui, hatubagui, tunataka kila mtu aje ili tupate kuendelea. Asante.
Suleimanieri, Lunchtime News.
And the European Union, through the National Drought Management Authority, has released 500 million shillings to Kenya to help mitigate the effects of drought. Speaking today after having a meeting with the development partners, Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa lauded the move, saying the amount will help in water tracking in 10 counties facing severe drought. This even as he revealed that his ministry is currently championing more resources, and the establishment of Drought Management Fund will go a long way in ensuring people and animals do not die from adverse effects of drought. It is projected that the drought situation in the country might worsen between the month of September and December.
Looking at how we can further boost support to the counties, to affected families, to ensure they have enough food, to ensure that the animals have pasture. So these are the issues we are looking at, what the partners are doing to complement what the national government and the county governments are doing, and an appeal to ensure that we have more support going to these counties so that we cushion the vulnerable families affected. I've also been able to brief our partners as to what the national government is doing. As we speak already, this matter is receiving the highest attention at the highest level of government, at the cabinet. And we've been able to form a multi-agency team that will be co-chaired by the PS in charge of devolution, PS Korir, and the PS in charge of interior, PS Kibicho. So this is the team that will bring together all the line ministries, because drought affects all the sectors.
Now, 4 police officers attached to Ruiru police station have been arrested after they were accused of extorting 1,030 shillings from a man who they arrested for violating curfew orders. The police officers are said to have taken the victim's phone and forced him to reveal his M-Pesa PIN before they transferred the money to themselves.
Robert Mutai, who narrated his ordeal on Facebook and appealed to the government to intervene, forced the Ruiru Security Committee to arrest the officers.
Mmoja wa wananchi anaitwa Robert Mutai, ambaye anasema tarehe 12 mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu karibu saa 4 usiku alishikwa na polisi ambao walikuwa wanaendesha operesheni ya curfew, na mmojawapo hao maafisa wa polisi alichukua simu yake na akaweza kuzambaza pesa ambayo ni 1,030 ambayo alikuwa anaenda kutumia na familia yake.
According to the victim, the 4 police officers allegedly arrested him for violating curfew laws on the night of August 12th.
Tumechukua vyombo vyao vya mawasiliano, simu, tumeshika raia wengine 3 ambao wanaendesha biashara ya M-Pesa ambao kwa njia moja au nyingine wanaunganishwa na hiyo tukio.
Mutai further claimed the police officers later deleted the M-Pesa message from his mobile phone to conceal evidence. The 4 police officers, together with the M-Pesa shop owner, will be charged with robbery with violence.
More than 6,000 litres of illicit brew has been destroyed in a police crackdown in Samburu County. The illicit liquor confiscated in Rangau and Loikas villages included Kangara and Changa.
The crackdown led to the destruction of 5,850 litres of Kangara and 280 litres of Changa. Kirisia Division Assistant County Commissioner George Murage Mushira warned that those found will not go unpunished. Mushira further urged them to maximize government economic empowerment opportunities which are targeting women, youth and elderly people to open alternative sources of income.
If they continue with this, if they don't stop it, we shall not relent. Tutaendelea kupigana na hii pombe. Tutaomba hata tushirikiane na hawa viongozi hao wengine wa kanisa, tuongeleshe hao watu wetu, because there are other businesses watu wanaweza fanya other than hii mambo ya brewing illicit alcohols. We can see what is happening in other parts of the country.
Maralal Location Chief Dominic Lembara said the crackdown will continue until all illicit brews in the area are wiped out.
Hiyo operation tutaanza kutokea leo hadi tumalize pombe hii. Tunahakikisha tutamalize pombe. Hii ni kusema ya kwamba tumeamua hapa Maralal ya kwamba Changa ama illicit brew yote tutapambana nayo kulingana na vile sheria inasema.
That brings us to our first break here on Channel 1 Lunchtime News. We will be back with more news, including business and sports. Stay with us.
Kupata aliye mzuri kama skiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817 hash.
Usiwahi kumwacha mtu mzuri kwa matarajio ya kumpata mzuri zaidi, kwani unaporejea kumtafuta aliye mzuri utampata alishaponyoka na kumpata anayemdhamini.
Kupata aliye mzuri kama skiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817 hash. *811 *817 hash.
Welcome back. Now, officials from the National Land Commission have pitched tent in Isiolo County to educate residents on how to file complaints of historical land injustices. This follows concerns that victims are yet to take advantage of the available window for submission to the Commission before the 21st of September 2021 deadline.
The window for the process of documenting and submitting the claims to the National Land Commission has been open for the last 5 years, but members of the Isiolo community have remained dormant when it comes to filing complaints until now. NLC Commissioner Tia Galgalo, who is also former Isiolo County Women Representative, teamed up with the county government to sensitize ethnic communities on how to file their complaints and ensure that they are not locked out of the crucial process.
We need resources to do inquiries, to visit, to have elders, we need to record, we need to document, we need to take, all that evidence to collect even from old wazes and mamas and vijanas.
Isiolo County CEC in charge of lands, physical planning and urban development, Yusuf Dahir, urged residents to take advantage of the remaining 1 month window.
Nataka jamii waelewe kwamba ni muhimu wa submit hizi claims. And that's why tunashukuru leo Commissioner Tia aliweza kuleta legal team ambaye itaendesha na kuonesha jamii yote vile watafanya hiyo historical campaign.
According to Burat Ward Representative Hassan Yero, who also chairs the County Assembly Committee on Land, says the region has several claims of historical land injustices, including 128,000 acres set aside as a livestock holding ground, but which should be reallocated to the local community.
In Baringo County, insecurity cases arising out of unresolved communal land issues in Baringo will soon be a thing of the past following the launch of a digital land registry in the area. Land's Chief Administrative Secretary Alex Mwiru says fast-tracking registration of communal land will see more areas mapped into the county to enable residents carry out development activities without any fear of eviction by unscrupulous individuals.
In a move to promote a lasting peace amongst communities of Tugen, Ilchamus, Pokot and Endorois, who have been clashing for decades over natural resources in Baringo County, the government has moved in to fast-track processing of title deeds for residents.
Land is a complex issue, and it's also very emotive. Land borders even issues to do with security if they are not managed properly. So the more the reason why we as a ministry, we need, and as a county, we need to plan more on this particular resource.
Speaking in Cabernet Town during the handing over of land registry equipment, Land's Chief Administrative Secretary Alex Mwiru said Baringo residents will now exercise their right to land ownership and minimize instances where residents are swindled by unscrupulous individuals.
We have a lot to do as a ministry, and I will hand you my team where necessary. Let us see how we can fast track, how we can move quickly and achieve this, so that we also alleviate this kind of security problems.
His sentiments were echoed by Baringo Deputy Governor Jacob Chepkwony, who reiterated the registry will impact positively on thousands of residents from Ukutani, lower parts of Baringo North, Tiati and borderline of Ilchamus and Mochongoi, who have long been embroiled in land and resources-based related conflicts with communities from neighboring counties.
In this year, on July 30th, we received 21,000 title deeds, which is a big boost in our county. We expect at the end of the year, or at the end of the calendar year, with your support, to also issue another 20,000 title deeds.
Najua kuna sehemu ambapo watu wanakwaruzana sana sana wakati wa upanzi wa mimea, kwa sababu sehemu hizi hazijafanyiwa usorovea na watu hawana vyeti vya kumiliki. Sasa tumeletewa hii kazi, tushirikiane, tuache yale mambo yetu ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba kazi imefanyika vizuri kwa haraka iwezekanavyo, ili tuweze kupatiwa vyeti vya kumiliki mashamba.
National Lands Commission Commissioner Professor James Tuitoe called on land coordinators to work closely with county governments in carrying out public education on land registration process.
There are a number of lands in this country which are being encroached by private entities, and our work is to work and secure those lands. Maybe also in Baringo we have such examples. We will be working with the county government if there are such instances to ensure that we curtail any encroachment.
So that is what we are looking forward to, have the communities either transit but also get their titles so as they can be able to to manage the land for themselves, with themselves, by themselves.
The facility has been refurbished with the support of European Union and Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations under the Lands Governance Program project. Ben Chumba, Lunchtime News.
From Baringo to neighboring West Pokot, where health facilities in the county have received a huge boost following the disbursement of drugs worth 44.6 million shillings to health institutions in the county. West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo said the county government, through its health department, purchased the drugs to boost the supplies.
The county government of West Pokot has begun disbursing drugs procured from the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority KEMSA, which is part of a 70 million shillings consignment. West Pokot Governor Professor John Lonyangapuo said that the delays being experienced in the drug supplies was due to slow procurement process at KEMSA.
KEMSA pia hawana factory ya kuunda dawa. Na ugonjwa inashuka wakati wote kama vile upepo inakuja. So dawa ambayo imepatikana kwa KEMSA kupeana, na kuna procedure pia, uingii tu kama vile unachota mahindi wa store.
Lonyangapuo warned health officials of dire consequences if found to be engaging in drug theft.
Na raia munisaidie. Sio kila mtu mwenye anafanya facility ni mtakatifu. Jinsi ambavyo nyinyi si watakatifu pia, jinsi ambavyo hata mimi si mtakatifu. Lazima tusaidiane na tuchengane. Madaktari wa ukusi. Hiyo shule ninasikia dawa naingia pap. Alafu inatoka speed usiku. Mpaka box napatikana box bure.
Tumekuwa na issues where kwa karatasi tuko na dawa lakini ukienda store hakuna dawa. So tunataka kusema kwamba going forward hatutaki kusikia vitu kama hiyo. Tunataka transparency na watu wafanye kazi kuweka records right so that at any time inaonekana kwamba dawa ilitumika vile ilitumika.
KEMSA North Rift representative Zacchaeus Muya said that the drugs will be taken to 125 dispensaries in the county.
Na kwa hivyo tumekubaliana ya kwamba moving forward kutoka sasa haitakuwa inachukua more than 14 days from the time wanatupea order to the time we deliver.
The county administration also flagged off 2 new ambulances fitted with life-saving equipment to be stationed at Kapenguria County Referral Hospital.
Internationally, more than 2,200 diplomats and other civilians have so far been evacuated from Afghanistan on military flights. This following the Taliban takeover of the country after the withdrawal of United States military forces, which began in July.
On Wednesday morning, 131 people landed in Frankfurt, Germany after they had been evacuated from Kabul to the Uzbek capital of Tashkent. Separately, a Dutch C-17 transport plane left Kabul with 40 people on board. This as the British government said it will work with international partners and other countries to resettle up to 20,000 Afghan refugees in the United Kingdom. Women, girls, religious and other minorities will be given priority as these groups are among those most at risk of human rights abuses from Taliban. While many make efforts to flee the country, the Taliban's top political leaders are making their way into the country, arriving back in Afghanistan from Qatar, where many were in exile.
We take a quick break. We will be back with business news.
Your Highness, if you really kill me now, then Bailey and Sicho will make you pay for that, even if you ascend the throne later.
Look at what you've done! I'm so disappointed with you. You were always reliable, smart, and flexible in the past. I placed high hopes on you.
And what brings you here? You came here to laugh at me? Just laugh at you? I don't have that much time, or that much interest in you.
So is His Majesty suspicious of you?
Mimi najuta kwa nini sasa nimefuatilia mambo haya.
Usijute, mume wangu usijute. Hii ndio hali ya matibabu na sote tumetaka hili jambo lifanikiwe.
Mama labda mimi ni mgonjwa kweli. Maana nikapelekwa asylum.
To make it worse, dawa umetupa kila mahali. What's going on? I promise. Tarejesha sauti yako.
Huyu, sauti yana. Si akae nyumbani kwake atulie.
Mimi hata yashangaza.
Welcome back. You are watching Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Now, the death toll from Saturday's powerful earthquake in Haiti continues to rise, with authorities saying that at least 1,941 people perished, a rise of more than 500 on the previous figure. Nearly 10,000 people were injured and many are still missing after the 7.2 magnitude tremor.
Rescue work in the aftermath of Saturday's deadly earthquake in Haiti has been hampered by heavy rains brought this week by Tropical Storm Grace to the Caribbean nation. The UN says about 500,000 children now have limited or no access to shelter, safe water and food. Tens of thousands of people left homeless by the quake had to decide whether to brave the storm under flimsy tarpaulins or risk returning into buildings damaged by the tremor and smaller aftershocks. The southwest of Haiti appears to have suffered the worst of the damage from the tremor, especially around the city of Les Cayes. Elsewhere, the World Health Organization says it has identified counterfeit versions of India's primary COVID vaccine, Covishield. The doses were seized by authorities in India and Africa between July and August. A statement from WHO says the vaccine's manufacturer, Serum Institute of India, confirmed that the doses were fake. The International Public Health Agency has called for their removal from circulation. Covishield is the Indian-made version of AstraZeneca's jab and is the most widely used vaccine in India, with more than 486 million doses administered so far.
Let's now do business. Coop Bank Group made 10.5 billion shillings in pre-tax profit during the first 6 months of this year, representing an increase of 10%. Net interest income grew from 15.9 billion shillings to 18.8 billion shillings, while total operating expenses grew by 28% to 18.7 billion shillings on account of the lender doubling its loan loss provisions.
During the first 6 months of this year, Coop Bank increased its net loans and advances from 272.2 billion shillings to 301.2 billion shillings. This helped push up net interest income by 18% to 18.8 billion shillings, while total non-interest income grew by 24% to 10.3 billion shillings. However, the increased lending came at a cost, as the lender's total operating expenses grew 28% to 18.7 billion shillings on account of 123 prudential growth in loan loss provisions. Coop Bank Group CEO Gideon Muriuki said loan loss provisions was increased 4.2 billion shillings in appreciation of the challenges that businesses and households continue to face due to the economic effects of the ongoing pandemic. The increased operating expenses ate into the lender's profitability that grew by 10% from 9.6 billion shillings to 10.5 billion shillings. Muriuki says loans worth 49 billion shillings were restructured during the CBK restructure window that ended on 31st March 2021 to support customers impacted by the pandemic. He further says the bank has successfully moved 93% of all customer transactions to alternative delivery channels such as mobile banking, ATMs, internet banking and Coop Kwajirani banking terminals. He says M-Corp Cash mobile wallet is disbursing on average 5.6 billion shillings monthly. All of the group subsidiaries posted profits save for Cooperative Bank of South Sudan that a monetary loss of 290 million shillings on account of currency devaluation of the South Sudanese pound. For Lunchtime Business, I'm Brian Munyuoki.
1,572 claimants and policyholders of Concord Insurance will be the first beneficiaries of the Policyholders Compensation Fund as it officially rolls out compensation for insurance companies that have gone under. Each claimant will be compensated up to 250,000 shillings. As Regina Manyara narrates, Policyholders Compensation Fund is in the process of compensating those affected by Blue Shield, United and Standard insurance companies that also went under.
Concord Insurance, that was underwriting private and commercial motor businesses, was placed under statutory management in 2013 after it failed to settle claims and meet other financial obligations.
But we're happy to report that the law has changed now, such that we can be able to compensate those policyholders immediately a company goes under, of course, in the unfortunate event that they cannot be able to meet their obligations.
1,572 that had insured with Concord Insurance are to be compensated.
The fund in the current financial year of 2021-2022, we have set aside 1 billion shillings for compensation of policyholders. Now this first phase of compensating Concord will be to a tune of 390 million shillings.
Despite this, only 30 have so far lodged claims to be paid up to 250,000 shillings, which is the maximum amount payable by the Policyholders Compensation Fund.
It is also worth noting that these amendments gave rise to the expansion of the mandate of the fund to include statutory management and liquidation, thus enhancing the role of the fund.
Masita says the statutory fund has initiated processes for compensation of 690 claimants of Standard Assurance Company Limited, United Insurance and 2,058 claimants of United Insurance Company that are also under statutory management.
Given this unique niche, there is indeed need for support and collaboration from stakeholders, partners and the government in ensuring that the fund remains at the forefront amongst insurance guarantee schemes in Africa and the world over.
The compensation cash is from a kitty that insurance companies contribute to at a rate of 0.25% premiums paid by customers.
Even as insurance penetration remains low, observers hold that this move by PCF might just be the required game changer, especially when the unimaginable happens. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Thank you, Regina, for that report. Now, across borders, MTN has pulled out of the race for a second Ethiopian telecoms license, citing ongoing conflict in northern Ethiopia. The ethnic wrangles, which have attracted U.S. sanctions, threaten the economic growth of the country. Here are the details of these and others from across the continent.
South African telecoms operator MTN Group has announced that it will not resubmit a bid for Ethiopia's second telecoms operator license, which comes with mobile money. After losing out to the Safaricom-led consortium in the race for a telecom license in May, the telecom giant said it is cautious about the investment risk that Ethiopia currently poses, adding that the risks outweigh the benefits. In May, the US introduced visa sanctions on Ethiopian and Eritrean government officials, accused of undermining efforts to resolve the crisis in Tigray. The US also imposed wide-ranging restrictions on economic and security assistance to Ethiopia. Meanwhile, Nigeria's central bank has frozen bank accounts of 4 fintech startups over illegal forex trading. The Central Bank of Nigeria has obtained a court order freezing the accounts of fintech platforms RiseVest, Bamboo, Trove and Chaka for the next 6 months. The order follows an ex parte motion seeking the mandatory order of the court to direct the Apex Bank to freeze all bank accounts of the fintech platforms for 180 days, pending the outcome of the investigation and inquiry currently being conducted by the banking regulator. Finally, South Africa's state-owned power utility Eskom plans to reduce its output of coal-fired power by 8,000 to 12,000 megawatts through plant closures over the next decade, a cut that amounts to up to 30% of its current capacity. Eskom is pitching a $10 billion plan to global lenders that would see it shut the vast majority of its coal-fired plants by 2050 and embrace renewable energy. A fleet of aging coal-fired plants provides most of South Africa's electricity needs, but a lack of investment and poor maintenance has led to regular blackouts that have scared investors and cost the economy billions of dollars in lost output. Eskom currently has a nominal installed power capacity of about 42,000 megawatts. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
Further afield, Qantas says all of its employees must be vaccinated against COVID-19, making it the latest global airline to mandate jabs for staff. The airline says frontline workers, including pilots, cabin crew and airport staff, must be fully vaccinated by mid-November. Here are the details of these and others from across the globe.
Qantas says employees who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19 have until the end of March next year to receive both doses. This comes as the state of New South Wales reported its biggest daily rise in coronavirus infections. Qantas chief executive says the airline must provide an essential service, so this move will help guard against the disruption that can be caused by just one positive COVID case shutting down a freight facility or airport terminal. Qantas says that a poll of its 22,000 staff found that 89% of respondents had already been vaccinated or were planning to be, and around 3/4 of them thought it should be mandatory. Elsewhere, home prices have continued to surge in South Korea due to a shortage of supply, despite government efforts to rein in the market. South Korea, which has enacted 25 property control policies since 2017, plans to add hundreds of thousands of new apartments. But analysts say there is still a shortage of nearly 30,000 units. Housing prices in Seoul, which is home to almost half of the country's population, have risen more than 40% over the last 4 years, according to data. The difficulty of buying houses in Seoul has driven many buyers to nearby regions like Incheon and Gyeonggi, and consequently pushed up housing prices in those areas. Finally, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has begun a formal investigation into Tesla's autopilot system, covering all 765,000 vehicles sold by the company in the United States since 2014. The authority has identified at least 11 car accidents that have happened since 2018, where at least 17 people were injured and 1 killed, after Teslas were on autopilot. The National Transport Safety Board, which also has investigated some of the Tesla crashes, has recommended that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and Tesla limit autopilot use to areas where it can safely operate.
In sports, hosts Cameroon will play Burkina Faso in the opening match of the African Cup of Nations on the 9th of January at Omisport Stadium following the draw held last night in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Ethiopia will also play